Hello to all my booty seekers and cheek chasers. This is the Carpe Natem Podcast. I'm your host, Nate De La Hoya-Reynoso, and I'm so grateful you are listening to this episode. If you're new here, you should know that I believe that my purpose is to uplift, inspire, and educate others to communicate masterfully so that they can better understand themselves and others. I've spent years in the personal development and transformational technology space, and I want to share with you the wisdom that was passed down to me from giants in the industry. So if you are on a journey of self-mastery, just like me, looking to make dreams a reality and willing to be a leader for your family and community, then join me in seizing the butt cheeks of life and giving them a big ol' squeeze. Let's jump into the show. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Carpe Natem Podcast. I'm your host, Nate De La Hoya, and today with me, I have a very, very special guest. He's someone who is very near and dear to my heart. This is my best friend. I've known him since day one of our high school freshman orientation, and we've been best friends ever since. Eddy Mallegni, thank you for joining me today.
It's an honor to be here, Nate. I love being in Texas here with you. I love being in your house. I love your hospitality. It's fantastic.
We're still learning how to talk into the mic.
We're still learning how to talk into a mic. Well, that's what I want to see. I want to see if I put it here.
No, it cannot pick up.
Okay, it has to be.
So anyway, you and I have lived our whole lives in the Bay Area. You have a family business that you work at, and then COVID happened, and it has just been the craziest 2 years. We're actually doing this podcast in 2022.
Yep.
So we are just now recapping kind of everything we've been through this year, the growth you've had in the last 2 going on 3 years has just been tremendous. And I've seen you grow from the friend, full disclosure to people who don't know us, when we were in high school, we were very depressed.
Yeah.
We were very emo.
Oh, yeah.
We were self-harming.
Big time.
And there was just all these things where we had all this intensity that could have been directed to something creative, but instead we chose it to harm ourselves.
Absolutely.
So now as an adult, and now that you've reflected on the last 2 years of your life, what would you say has contributed the most to your growth?
Having a hobby, giving yourself an asset, let yourself grow, be open, and beyond that, it's okay to fail. That's the biggest problem, the biggest worry people have. Go for it. Shoot the shot. You fall on your face, big whoop. And now where I am at now, because I feel like I just learned this relatively soon, my biggest thing is just don't think, just do. I can't emphasize that enough. The more you talk about something, the more you spoil it. Just go do it. Go. Don't think. Put your mind away. The most real you could be is la-di-di-da. You could lu-du-du-du-du. That's the real you. That's who you are. Where you just think. Because it's just you in the most natural state. It's like a bird humming a song. Just natural. So my advice to you, if I could give advice to myself, it'd be natural, be you, and don't think. Just do.
I definitely feel that. It resonates with me because growing up, I always felt like I kind of had to buy my friends. Mm-hmm. Where as an adult,
I feel that one.
I look back on it and I'm I felt like I was only ever invited to things because I either had money or because I bought alcohol or because I had the car, instead of people actually paying attention to me because of what I brought to the table. And I feel like that it's just a negative feedback loop where, because I brought the alcohol to the party, I must be cool. So then you become the guy that spends more money just to be accepted and validated for people who just end up turning their back on you anyway and add no value to your life. And the most surprising thing to everything was us. These people I would consider friends, people who I really did consider as these are my homies, these are my ride or dies, were people that ended up stabbing me in the back or spoke ill of me when I wasn't there, and I had to always hear it secondhand from somebody else.
Yeah, I do want to say I do think growing up in the Bay has some contribution to that. It's that like rock star, rock living life where you want to go hard, you want to do a lot, and you want to be a lot. And sometimes you start looking at people as assets, like, oh, okay, I could grow my popularity group, I can click more into my clique, or I can find the girl that's of like a style of my clique in that clique if I be nice to them, if I do this. Oh, they don't like me off the tops because who knows, kids are fucking mean. And
I think that's a very California thing.
Because
a lot of people in LA say the same thing, where everybody that they come into contact with, it always never feels genuine. It feels like I'm using you to network. I'm using you to gain something somehow.
Big time. But then, and then there's natural connections like me and you, where we generally love each other. I love to hear what you have to say. I don't care if it's about nothing. I just want to hear you talk because I like being by you.
You have always pushed me to grow myself and to learn more, and you've always been... And you've said to me, like, you've been impressed with, like, my knowledge, my growth, things that I get into, like, my tenacity.
Very smart man here.
But, like, I'm inspired by you, where I see you doing cool things, and I'm like, God, I need to do shit like that. I need to put in just as many hours as him, if not more, to get to that level. Because I felt like at some point, some things, especially when it came to things like social interactions, I felt like you were always just so natural and people flocked to you because you were always just being yourself. You're being loving, giving without ever expecting anything in return. And people really did flock to you for that reason. So when it came to me growing up, I was like, what do I have to add to value? Why can't I have friends like that? Why can't I have people who like are ride or die like that? And I kind of felt like you don't need somebody to ride or die for you. You got yourself.
Exactly.
But it's just weird as a kid, as a 15-year-old looking at the group. You want to feel like you belong without having any doubts.
Exactly.
And I always had doubts.
Hello. It's weird because it's like when I would see you, I was like, oh man, I wish I could do that. That guy's so flipping cool. He just goes up and talks to people like it's nothing, yada yada. But I don't know. It's that weird thing where you look at someone else and you go, man, what the hell? Then I look over at you and I go, oh, what the hell's that? I want me some of that. Like, put that in my life. I want to follow that thing. I want to go to that thing. And then the weird thing about us, and which I really think holds our friendship, is that we got separated, and we still get separated majority of our lives. Like, we don't really get to spend more than a year with each other in the same place. We're always moving, or you're always moving. I'm always kind of stationed. But, you're experiencing life, and I would never want to hold a friend back ever. But hold on.
Okay.
And it's like no matter what, like where you are, where I am, we always try to find each other. We always try to connect. We always try to have something with each other.
What I thought was always interesting about that, because I have noticed that same thing, that pattern where we're always like kind of being separated from each other.
Oh yeah.
When we see each other, it's like no time has passed by. It just goes to day one, and it's always. That's like a genuine connection where you just pick off where you left off, and none of the bullshit in the middle got in the way.
Yep. It does get in the way sometimes because, we'll see each other and go, oh, hey. It's like, it'd be nice to get a big old hug and a big old like, ah.
Yeah, man, there's nothing more.
We do that when we leave more. We're more of big huggers when we say goodbye. But when we see each other, go, hey, so Austin's hot.
And then just continue from the next day. It's like I'd seen you my whole life.
And then when we have conversations, I feel like this is why we got into NLP and stuff, because we, observed how we would talk and how we would conversate. We'll list out 4 or 5 conversations. Oh, so did you hear about this? Oh, blah, 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 blah. Oh, what about this thing? Blah, blah, blah. And then I'll say a color, and he'll be like, well, speaking of green, and he'll bring up a green circle. I'm like, oh, let me tell you about my circle experience. And then we'll line up 5 conversations, and then we'll go back to the top and answer that, answer that, answer that, answer that, answer that.
What I genuinely love about our relationship is that you validate a lot of the thoughts that I think I'm the only one that I have. Like,
me
there's
too.
Certain
Me
feelings,
too. Me too.
And certain things that I do that I'm like, I must be insane because like I'm the only person that feels this way. I'm the only person that has this exact same reaction. And then you off cuff will be like, yeah, the other day I woke up and just felt like super angry, just started cussing out everybody. And then as soon as I got out of my car, I was like, oh, hello, how is everybody? Like, so nice. And I'm like, I do that. I'm that person. Like, it validates like, okay, I'm not the only one.
Exactly.
Also, it's the human experience. I feel like you're trying to always find somebody who's been through your situation, so you feel like you're not alone in the situation or alone in the world. Like, you're like, okay, this other person has gone through something similar, so it's not just me. If they've overcome it, then I can overcome it.
Yeah, and what I'm starting to find out too is competition is good. You want competition. Like, it's good to want to like argue with your best friend. It's good that you guys want to push each other's way of thinking, and I want to challenge your perspective that you think you're so right on. Like, oh, you think farts taste good? Well, I'm gonna debate you on that and make sure you realize that feet taste better than farts. And I'm going to be like, well, you're so wrong.
It's
you don't
all
know what you're
perspective.
talking. It's all, but then I'm going to come around and I'm going to start seeing your side. And I'm going to be like, you know what? It's not fair that I never tasted a foot before and just took the fart right off the bat. I got to taste the foot first now. And now I don't feel weird about doing it. I don't feel like the only one, like you said. Like, I feel like it's okay to experience things, and I'm not going to get lashed or punished, or most of all, I'm not going to feel ashamed of doing it. We both kind of learned that with each other too. It's like, if I do something wrong and, he's going to scold me, because sometimes you need a little scolding, but it gets rid of that shame factor, because you try to replace your shame with pride, and the only thing that does is produce more shame, because pride's not the opposite of shame. It's the byproduct.
Yeah, it
with
really
pride
is.
comes shame. You can't take the two apart. The only way to get rid of shame is through humiliation.
Humility.
Humility. We're not going up. Humidity.
Texas has a lot of that.
The only way to get really through that is just to laugh through it. And speaking of that, I mean, going to 0 comedy shows, then going to 2 comedy shows this week. You do see that a lot in comedy. You see that people, they share their trauma, but they laugh through it. And then I'm usually a sensitive boy, and I got my ass called out by every comedian that night, and I just laughed through it.
Yeah,
I feel a little ashamed, but just laugh. Then the whole room laughs, and you're with everybody. You're not alone. It's okay. And then each comedian came up to me after and was like, "Hey, thank you for supporting me. What's up? Did you like the show?" And it was just all good vibes.
Yeah, and a lot of people go to these shows and then get offended, and you're like, "Oh, you're at a haha show." So like,
what did you expect?
And that's crazy, because they will only get called on like once, but literally every comedian, there's like 15 comedians, and since we sat in the very front and the light just happened to be aimed at you, literally every comedian on the stage saw you and was like, "This white motherfucker, you California bitch ass boy."
Yeah, then they had to ask, "Where are you from?" Like, here we go.
Yeah, I'm from San Francisco, California. God damn, if you tell somebody that in Texas that you're from California, it's like you told them like, "Yo, I have full blown AIDS and I can transmit it by breathing."
Yeah, but you go California, then you go San Francisco, because I'm not going to say San Mateo. I'm not going to say, "Oh, I'm from
They don't know what that
Millbrae."
is.
Like, what the fuck's Millbrae?
You're better off saying like, "I'm from Wisconsin." But the problem is, like, in Texas, you'll find someone who'll be like, "Hey, me too, farmer." Like,
"Oh, what's up? You know Farmer Jed? Yeah, I used to work with him all the time. Remember Teacher Jeff? Because we only have one fucking school."
in the entire state of Wisconsin, I believe it.
Wisconsin doesn't exist.
Oh, Wisconsin should be given back to Mexico. I'm sure Wisconsin is good. What are they known for? Their cheese?
They don't exist.
Blizzards? They don't exist. It's not real.
You can't get canceled by Wisconsin because it doesn't exist.
I don't think Wisconsin.
It's not real.
It's been a figment of our collective imaginations this whole time.
Absolutely. Get it out of here.
So you've now spent 4 days in Texas, Austin. And
Yep.
this is after being in California for the last 2 years, where it's just restricted, locked down, no one can do anything. Even if you're vaccinated now, they're like, back on the mask, no going inside, no eating inside. Like, how does it feel to come from basically a prison to just absolute freedom?
Home. It feels like home. It feels like good. It feels like us. I come back, I talk to you, nothing changed, because this is what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be natural communications with people. It's supposed to be look me in the eyes.
Freedom of choice.
That's the thing. Like, if people were super, hey, get vaccinated and wear your mask and all that, but you still don't have to, then it'd be fine. That's fine. I get that.
Give a personal choice to be like, decide to protect yourself, or I
But
felt like
the problem is that when people have the free, that's the thing. Like, okay, so if you give the people the choice, they're not going to do it. So you go, oh, so we have to control it.
we have to force it.
So we have to force it. It's like, well, wait a minute. Like, doesn't that go against everything?
And there's nothing that proves that it's like good or bad in either direction. Because like, there's both sides have their data. Both sides have their reasoning. Because like at first I'm
going to get a little cynical with it.
It was the idea of that you're supposed to help protect the community, protect those who are endangered. You don't want to kill grandma accidentally.
What if it's just the end, and we're just trying to fight the will of the end? You know what I mean?
It could be.
It could be. It really could be. Then who are we to go against nature at that point?
But it's to the point where it's become such a weird, like, I'm not taking a stance either way. I have my personal beliefs that I believe in freedom of choice. Too. But it's come to a point where it's like the indoctrination of others, where I've had family members, beloved family members, people that I love, who are like so scared of COVID, and they're like, I believe that, straight up, I'm quoting them. They said, I was like, you could get cancer and die. And she's like, yes, but I feel like I could fight off the cancer. And you can't fight off COVID? You think that you can fight off cancer, the thing that kills hundreds of thousands of people annually?
That made me dizzy.
You can't fight off COVID.
That
and it's just
got
like,
me
you're
dizzy.
that scared because you don't know. And I'm like, I do know. Like, yes, I got COVID and I almost died. I fucking went to the ER twice. So I get it. It's dangerous. Be precautious. And I wasn't even trying to get it. I was healthy, exercising, taking vitamins. I was doing everything right. I wasn't vaccinated, but at the time, I don't think it was. I don't
think we had a vaccine.
So like I went through it, and it was absolute dog shit to go through. Be in favor of like businesses and shops and mom and pop places closing down to protect the community, to separate, to isolate. It's just like I don't think that at this point, the things that we did the first couple of months of the pandemic are the same things we should continue doing forever and ever.
Agreed.
Adapt,
Nate,
evolve,
that
adjust.
was well said. That was so well said. That's so true. What we did in the first couple of weeks shouldn't be forever.
100%.
That was very well put.
We're going on year 3, and you're just it's become
year
a thing
3, and I'm
like,
gonna go home to it.
I know, man.
Everyone's like, oh, what's the difference? I'm like, well, the difference is I live in an area where it's the fucking bunch of cucks. And this area doesn't have cucks. I see people with masks here. Sometimes I go in the store. I'm like, oh, forgot my mask. I'm like, oh, no. It's just they want to wear a mask.
And
so
it's
they
like
can.
the freedom of choice. It's whether you wear it or not. Whether you wear it or not. Whether you wear the mask, whether you're vaccinated, like the death rates really haven't gone up that much. And yeah, more people are getting infected.
That's silly thing, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean...
You got the worst example. Let's say Texas is the worst example. We know that's not.
Florida is...
Okay,
Florida is just like spitting each other's mouths. We don't care.
That's so good on Florida.
But their rates of death, their rates of hospitalization is that of equal to or less than the rest of the populace.
That's what I'm... Like, you got 3 good examples. You have extreme California. Texas, which is like... Would you say 50-50?
No, well, like...
Let's 75.
80. Like, it's like freedom of choice. And then there's some people who are like more...
But people who are like just wearing it, though. I'm just talking about people who are wearing masks getting vaxxed.
I mean, it's way less here than in
California. Let's say like California is like, extreme. Texas is middle.
Like middle ground.
And then Florida is like extreme on the other side.
Yeah.
But they're all same results.
Yeah, they're saying like...
It's all... Same, like all same death, all same, and that's where it goes. Guys, come on now, like why are we denying information here that's blatant in front of us? Like this now it gets silly. And now you're telling me to believe a lie, and I go, well, wait a minute, I'm huge on fucking gaslighting. So if you try to gaslight me, I'm gonna have an episode, punch a hole through my wall, eat the drywall, and call it a day.
I mean, if you're really looking at it. And your belief is that by doing what they say is going to help people, then you feel in a sense that you're doing right by your community.
It's true. It's a virtue.
It's a virtue signaling thing. And I think in California, that's a big thing. It's just like, I'm this.
I have a theory with virtue.
I have to record myself giving money to the homeless person to let people know that I'm good.
I think self-victimization and virtue go hand in hand.
Yeah?
Virtue signaling. Oh, yeah. Because it's like your group gets... put as the bad group, but then if you go against your group, you're a virtue. You're a virtue signal.
I'm not like them.
I'm not like that.
And
how could they do anything? Plug it in. It's all the same. It doesn't matter.
It boils down to like fucking tribalism and like separatism. Like you have like for whatever reason, we as an quote unquote evolved species think that by like grouping people in these binary bad good.
Yep.
Type of ways, we think that's going to be the solution to the future. But like you and I. Politically disagree on a lot of things. Right? And we don't have to get into our beliefs, but we're still friends because we were able to like I asked you like why would you do this thing?
Yes.
And you told me the reasons why. And I'm like, okay, I can understand why you did that.
Yeah.
And then you asked me why I did my thing and the reasons behind that. Sometimes we flip sides. Sometimes I'm like, okay, I understand your point. Or sometimes I could just be like, I fucking totally disagree with you.
Yeah.
But it never at any point was I like, I'm going to stop being friends with Eddy Mallegni. I know people have cut off their family members because they voted the wrong way.
I can't believe that. My family members told me like, hey, fuck off. Don't come to my funeral. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I fucking raised you. I wiped your ass. Like, now you hate me?
Yeah.
Like, what the hell happened to you?
Over an ideology.
But, and that's, yeah, I mean, and like, the ideology, does it even exist? Like,
no.
I watched The Matrix for the first time in Texas, and
Yeah, what were your thoughts on the first Matrix?
And that's why I'm always, because I'm about to bring it in, I'm about to say, so what is even real? Like, come on, seriously, you think this ideology is real? It's just a thought.
If you want to
It's
get
not even
super
real.
if you want to get super meta about it, everything is just a perception of like a projection of your brain.
Yes.
So like
The spoon's not
your
really there.
experience could be totally different. I'm looking at the room from my angle, and I can see all these items.
Yep.
But you're looking at it from your angle, and you could be seeing totally different things.
You see, from like, let's say, like, I'm gonna still look at my angle. Like, if I looked at my angle, I'd be like, oh no, this is an entertainment room because I see a PlayStation, I see a television, and I see a speaker.
But from my point, I see a desk. It's like this is a workstation.
This is a
an
workstation.
office.
What are you talking about? I have books there. I have my whiteboard. I have the marker.
Are both perceptions correct?
Yes.
All realities are true.
Yes.
Because if the person believes in it, then that's true for
It's
them.
going down. Yes, absolutely.
That way of thinking is true freedom, because if everything around me is a projection of what I believe and see, then I can tailor the world to my liking. I don't have to be in toxic environments if I don't have to be. I don't have to surround myself with people that I don't want to be around if that's my choosing. But being in control of that decision is so much more important than just being like, oh, I guess this is my situation. I guess I'll just be here forever, or I'm not going to get out of this bubble, because even though we suffer, the suffering is comforting and it's familiar. So we go back to it.
Alan Watts, there's suffering, but nobody who suffers. Constant time of flux of now. You only choose to be suffering, but nobody suffers.
And there are terrible people in terrible situations.
And that's where it gets all so tricky, because it's so easy to say, you know, but then you go, oh, okay, what about a mom who just saw her child get run over and the child was only 4?
Right.
You're telling me she's not suffering every day? It's,
absolutely.
And you know, you get stuck there. You go, oh, well, I mean, yeah, it's a time of constant flux now. And, you know, that was technically yesterday in the past, isn't it? Oh, you think that your daughter never existed?
None of that takes away from the pain. As logical as you want to be, or as understanding as you can, you still have these emotions are hardwired into us.
If that person wants to move on, that's what they have to do. They have to take the whole "I'm not a victim" mentality. It's I'm not saying it's easy. And you know, I used to have a only good moral look on things. I've started to get a little cynical in my older days, and I only am cynical towards my own actions. I would never step on somebody else's head, just to put that out on my own. But you know, sometimes the right thing isn't always the good thing.
It's not.
The right things done by the wrong man. No, you know what? I can't even quote this. I can't even remember it.
Yeah, it's. No, I understand what you're saying, though.
Yeah.
It's a lot of. Man, there's so much variations of like suffering.
So exactly. So what do you do? So what do you do? And it's like, really, there's only one other choice, right? Do you move on, or do you suffer?
You have to move on.
Or do you suffer? And then it goes back right up to you. It's like, it's ultimately your choice. And then this is where I even look into a little further, and then I throw in the third option, which, you know, I feel like I want to be sensitive when I talk about it. Suicide. Because at the end of the day, you know, it is your life.
It is your life.
It is your life. You have the freedom
of choice to do with what you think. And if you honestly believe you're at a point where the ending of your life is more benefit or more productive or whatever than anything else in this world, first off, you're wrong. You deserve to be here.
Absolutely.
You should find help if you are feeling thoughts like this.
1,000,000%.
But get to a point where you can see why you're getting here. Because like for a while, before I met my wife, I felt suicidal, and it was crazy because I had never really felt suicidal before. I did when I was a kid, but I think I was just really teenage angst. It was hormones, and I didn't understand it. But I legit
World's weird.
I legit had these feelings of like suicide, and this was
self-harm for us is
2019, and was it 2019? Yeah, it was 2019, and you know, but then I realized that I took a very large dose of mushrooms and climbed a mountain and tried to figure out what the hell was wrong with me. But it was crazy because, like, I hadn't told anyone that I was thinking about killing myself. I just asked a bunch of people to, like, come with me up the mountain during this trip. And everyone bailed on me. And the only person that did it, that came with me, was somebody I just happened to message that morning. And was like, sure, I'll fucking come with you. And him trailing up the mountain with me and me learning his story and his perspective really put some context into my current reality. And the mushrooms was also what kind of made me stop doing cocaine, which was honestly a huge addiction in my life, because at the time I had gone through so much in the year of 2018, 2017.
It was a rough one for you, man.
I had so many ups and downs, and I felt so terrible about it. I was medicating with illegal substances to feel better, wasteful, useless sex.
Was that Adderall as well, time?
Adderall was more just to be productive, but it didn't ever make me happy. It just made me focused. But if I felt down, if I felt upset, I would do a bump, because it would just it's just a quick dopamine rush.
I get you.
It's the feeling you get of accomplishment without having to do anything, and that's why I feel it's so dangerous, because it feels like you conquered a really big, daunting task, but you did nothing except put a white line up your nose.
Yep.
And it was just making my mood swing so terrible. So, I'd have greater highs, but then I'd have lower lows. And it got to a point where I had to look at myself and be like, okay, I understand why I feel this way. Let me see if I can clean up the things around me. So, I'm almost 1,000 days off of cocaine. So, clean from cocaine over almost 1,000 days.
Woo!
I started, instead of messing around with multiple women, I chose to go monogamous. I basically, everything that I've done so far, if you keep doing the same things, you're going to get the same results. So let me overhaul and change everything. I got steady jobs. I was able to focus my energy somewhere else. I moved from a place that was very triggering for me to somewhere that I could make new, happy memories. I've done all the things to get myself on a path of quote unquote healthy.
And I think, this is my perspective, I think the universe has definitely rewarded you, because you put your worth forward, and good opportunities have definitely come your way. Mm-hmm. And I hate when people say, oh, you're just lucky. That's just luck. Oh, I got luck. Luck is when opportunity meets preparation. Yeah, all right. If really luck comes your way and you're not ready for it, bye. What does it matter? Yeah. You know how many times I got lucky, but I wasn't ready or prepared because I was off, doing blow and smoking weed and playing RuneScape, and I lost it. So what I'm trying to say is, when you do put forth, it comes back. I can't describe it other than just that's how it works, because it is. The more you put out, the more you get back. R.I.P. Rich Piana.
And the older I get, the more I realize that it's such a long game. It's not a short game. These aren't sprints. These are moments where we look at life as a whole. I'm about to be 28 in less than 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
And the shit that I would have I never imagined myself getting to 28. Not that I was going to die or get pills. That just never made sense to me.
Why are we like that?
It just doesn't. It doesn't make sense. It's just there's no way. There's nothing that's going to be better than this. And that's 21-year-old thinking. It's okay, I'm at the peak of my body. If
you are
my
21
hormones,
and listening,
emotions. Invest in your money.
Please. Be smart.
It's the distraction of quick pleasures versus the reward of long-term waiting. If you put
long-term taste is so much better.
It really does, but why would you want to wait for cake when you can just eat the cookie dough now?
Because you're a stupid kid, and it's great.
And the cookie dough,
it's wonderful.
The cookie dough is delicious. It gives you the same dopamine hit, but do you get sick off of the cookie dough?
Oh yeah.
Right? There's consequences to all paths, and there's no such thing as fast money either.
Nope.
There's opportunities that are met with readiness.
Yes.
That end up making fast money. Maybe you were you know what, this coin is going to blow up. You put your money in, it blows up. You're right. But there's drug dealing, gang stuff, things where people are I look at this, I made 50 grand this week. It's just
it's inherited of the nature. So fast money means fast loss.
Yeah. You lose the money so fast because you don't.
You rush a relationship, what happens?
I was taught everyone has a financial thermostat, where in a thermostat in your home, if you set it at 74, if it gets hot, it goes down to 74. If it gets cold, it goes right up to 74, right? You're always at the 74. But everyone has the same financial thermostat, where if you're set for $30,000 a year, all you will make is $30,000 a year. And if by chance you win the lotto, by nature, it will go down until you hit $30,000, because that's all you can handle. Through education, through meditation, through experience, you're able to raise that financial thermostat, because there's people who are billionaires who lose everything and in a few years gain it all back because their thermostat is set. So it's that same thing, not only financially, but spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. If you have yourself set at such a high standard that even if you miss your standard, you're still above where everyone else set theirs, 10xing it, then you can get way more done, and then the universe rewards you for that. And, you know, outside of just things that are out of our control, like forest fires and, you know, terrible incidences with people. But
where did you hear that? That's good shit.
well, this is just things that are coming out of my head.
Oh, but that's actually okay. Well,
It's an accumulation of all the knowledge that I've had in the last 8+ years.
Well, if that came out of your head, that was fucking great, because that's so true. I'm thinking about my own personal bank account, and I have a thermostat, and you know, I don't have a set thermostat on how much I make. I just have to make sure my bank account's always at this limit. If it goes above, I go, oh, I have spending money. If it goes below, I go, put it back right to where it was.
Yeah.
But never above, never low. You know, and that's ooh. But here's something fun though. I did spend around. I took a lot of money out of my bank account this year, so I was at like $30K, and now I'm at like 10.
Ooh.
But it's going to rent, going to investing, moving out, investing, trying out new things.
It's not that the money's gone; it's transferred. It's turned into.
But like you said, I know I can get it back to that 30, and like maybe that comes a little with comfort too. What are you comfortable with? Maybe some people want $1 billion because they live $1 billion lifestyle. I don't think I live $1 billion lifestyle. I think I'd be happy in dirt.
It's like where I'm at right now. I'm in a place where financially I have a lot of. I'm good right now.
Yeah.
My job pays me very well.
Yeah.
But I'm living.
Very proud of this guy, by the way. I'm
living below my means. I'm able to pay for everything that I have. Plus, I have a little money on the side. I have some spending money. I have some investing money. Like I feel like all my finances are. And this is difficult for people who are on the paycheck to paycheck lifestyle. Who are really stuck.
Yeah.
It feels like
we worked hard for this though too.
It feels like there's no end to it. Like there was days where I really hated waking up and showing up to somewhere because I was like, oh, I'm forced to do this. Where now I wake up and I'm like, I love my job.
Oh yeah.
And
my same job, but now I have love for it.
But my point was just like, once I got the new job, I didn't get a bigger house. I just stayed in the house that I am in. Like now I can pay down. My mindset is like now I can pay my debts down faster. Instead of thinking of like, okay, I now have to like really make this money stretch until the next paycheck.
Yes.
I'm good. I have so much liquid. And this is like the best I've ever been in life.
And guess what he's doing now? Now he's going to options and looking how to expand further.
Yeah.
He wants to expand his bracket.
And now I have the capability. So I feel like my financial thermostat raised itself.
For sure.
And now that it's here, it's now standardized.
That's okay.
And which is great. And then I feel like I'm in an upward trend because if I look at the last 3 years, it goes like last year was 2020. I was doing okay. The pandemic was hard. So 2021, I crushed. I feel like that was my golden year.
Hell yeah,
Such
you
a
did.
year for me. 2020 was rough, and it had its ups and downs. It was the pandemic. I had my surgery, the blizzard. There was so many things that happened in 2020, but I felt like I was better than I was doing in 2019 because in 2019, I was working 16-hour shifts. I was falling asleep during Christmas. Like I didn't have my priorities straight. I didn't know how to organize my time. And then the year before that, I was in Florida in the negative. Like I had to have my dad bail me out so that I could fly back home with my tail between my legs, like because the thing that I went to go do failed, and it was so rough. But like if I look at that, it's fun to look at the low points from the high tides.
Absolutely.
Because I look at them and be like, that was so silly. But during the time where I had no money, I didn't have enough money to eat. I didn't have money, dude. My account was like negative. One of my my car insurance went through my account and it withdrew my account. So like I had no fucking money, and my dad had to give me something to get on a flight back because like the rent that I had paid for that month was about to expire. I had no money to eat. So I just basically grabbed a suitcase, grabbed my stuff, went back, and was like, hey, I goofed up. But I'm looking at it from right now. Like that year was so rough, but right now I'm looking at it and smiling. I'm giggling. Yeah. Because it was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. But during the time, that was probably some of the worst times I've been through.
Yeah, man. It's fun to giggle at it at the end of it all. And I was mad at you at then. You know, I was really upset with you too. It feels bad to hear because I'm like, oh, I should have been there. But at the same time, it's like I gotta remember, I was also scolded too. You know, I was hurt.
And I had done something that broke our friendship. Like I did something that like hurt. And this the thing is just like if you would have just enabled me and would have just said like, it's okay, it's fine, whatever. I don't think I would have picked up myself as I did.
I've noticed that too.
Because of the shame. I felt like shit because I would come talk to you and you were like, what the fuck are you doing? How is it like 1 p.m. and you're not dressed correct? You're still in sweats? Like, I've been working.
I was hurt.
And you're like, I've been working since 5. And I'm like, yeah. And, you know, it really got me on.
It got to money. It was about money, you know. And for me, if being Italian, my tradition, like, I know it sounds silly, like, oh, you're funny, you're mafia, mobster, but no, it really does run deep in our blood. To like, finance is huge. Like, my family don't talk to each other because of finance. Because of doing a bakery, I hate my fucking family because of finance, because they're trying to fuck me over. It never ends. So then once it got to friendship and business, I snapped.
Yeah.
And I noticed this too with a lot of my friendships, is that I let things go way too easy. I don't allow people to have consequences. Ryan got away with a lot of shit. I let Melissa get away with a lot of shit. I let you get away with a lot of shit. I just pressed it. Like, it's fine. They'll get better. It's fine. I know them. I know they're going to grow. They're wonderful people. They're great people. I see it. I see their potential. They show me that's not how you make somebody grow.
Nah, dude, give it inch, they take a mile. And that's such a true phrase.
Yeah, this is my favorite one. I don't know where I heard it from. It's givers, give yourself a limit, because those who take do not have. And let me tell you, if you're listening to this and you're a giver, you have to give yourself a limit. I know you get joy out of it. I know you love it. I know it feels good. I know you love seeing the person you love smile. But if you want them to get better, you have to limit yourself, because they're not going to get better. They're just going to get worse.
For the younger audiences, you should always have a way of, I don't know how to say this, shit testing the people that you talk to.
It's true.
You should have a way to kind of like filter out people. And when it comes to friendships, think of it like this. Would you share a beer with this person? Absolutely. Is this somebody that you would have a drink with? If no, then they're not worth your time. But if they are, you can consider them like an acquaintance and a friend. Would you let them babysit your dog?
That's huge.
Right?
That's huge.
And then it really helps you kind of put in a perspective of like what you value in a person. Would you be willing to, like, there's some friends that I have that I will definitely get a drink with, but I would never let them take care of my dog or be in my house without me being here.
I got friends where I'm like, I would trust you with my entire bank account, but, you know, if I brought somebody of interest that I have, I don't think I trust you.
Uh-huh.
And like, it's weird, because then I find myself keeping some people digital.
And some people
I keep some people physical, but I don't keep them digital.
Some people are really good at also, like, bypassing shit tests and like
I'm good at after the years of being manipulated and gaslighted, and I used NLP and personal development for this for me. I've gotten really good at testing somebody. Like, I can look you in the eyes and
know their intentions and kind of feel a vibe. Where like before, I really wouldn't trust my gut on certain feelings. Mm-hmm. I would just basically base it off logic, and all the logics were just it's an echo chamber of like, okay, this person smiled at me. That means the thing that I'm doing must be a good thing. So then to continue doing the thing, and it's like a positive feedback loop. Yep. But I was for something that was crippling me more than it was helping me. And I guess for the younger people listening to this, or even people now, just like set yourself a standard of what you want in a friend, what you see, what you value in a person, and look for things that are like, you know, that if that person voted for the person that you didn't want to win, would you still love them? Would you still be like their friend?
That's actually a really modern way to put it. It's a really good modern way to put it.
There's definitely, like, I don't know, if you started being like, I am part of the KKK now, my robe, I'm gonna Nazi swastika on my forehead, I'd probably be like, hey man, I don't think we could be friends.
Yeah.
Maybe like long distance, but I can't be seen with you in public, man. Like, that's
I'll
weird.
See you digitally.
Like,
I'll message you every now and
then. Right.
And
if you're that deep, and if you're that deep, you wouldn't probably hang out with me because I'm, Mexican.
A good point. That does contradict itself.
It does contradict itself. But it's like, if you got to a point where you were really bad, and I've had friends who've gone down the path of like super toxic or super, like, it went from like casual drug use to heavy drug use, or like just never learned, never growed.
Friends too. So yeah, definitely.
We'd have to cut them off for the sake of us, for the sake of them. If you really want to be a good friend, sometimes cutting them off is the best.
Amen to that. I've learned that. I never said no up until the first time I said no to my abusive ex-girlfriend. I hope you rot. Ever since I said no to her, I never stopped, because once you gain that power, let me tell you about liberation, man. Being in a shit place like that, and all of a sudden you finally get your cojones back, and you fucking go, no, you leave. I'm done.
Yeah, and then it's a muscle that you always want to work out. You just want to
yeah. You want to hit that.
Well, that's wonderful, Eddie.
It is. It is liberating, and it's true. But and then at the same time, we talked about this at breakfast today. I am a big lover. I feel like I have internal love in my heart. I can't help it. If you want somebody back in your life, that's okay. I genuinely believe that. But you have to put them through another shit test. And I call this the orb of opportunity.
Yeah.
I let them hold the orb. I said, hey, you hold this orb. I let Nate hold the orb. And if you want to drop this orb and break it, you can't come back. And just know that's on you.
And this is after you've been harmed. The orb is now like I've
because you don't need to earn my love. I love everyone. I can't help it. It's who I am.
But if we've hurt you.
But if you hurt me, you need to earn my love back because you showed me who you are.
Right.
I'm not gonna. You don't have to change. That's fine. That you could do you, baby. That's your internal light. You are you. I'm not going to change you. But if you want my love back, then you're going to have to do some alteration because there's no reason why I need to change for you.
Like I've had to cut off people who like and this is the thing, is just like I keep going back to them thinking like time has passed, they've grown, and then we go through a blowout all over again and it keeps happening, and it's just like now it's become a pattern and it's discernible. The first time I get it, stuff happens, we're different,
young,
we're growing, then it moves forward. Second time it's like, come on buddy. Third time, now I'm an idiot.
The orb's dropped. The orb is shattered. You can't put that orb.
No.
If they want to put that orb back together, you're going to have to like put some level of like, look.
And it's not going to be instantaneous either. I had to carry that orb for several years because it took a while for us to get back to where we're now.
Oh, yeah.
And I love you and I would never want to lose you. But you know, it's at the same time, it's like you gotta be careful who you trust, who you love, what you do for people, because at the same time, there's realms of possibility. Like, okay, if
people are evil,
there are people who would have cut me off and never spoken to me again if we went through the same thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, entirely.
But then here you are sitting in my home and we're just talking like I have so much love for you, man.
I love you too.
It's just, I can't find this anywhere.
No, and I mean, so this is where I'm going to turn it spiritual. I believe that we're all the same spirit. We're all the same source of energy. There's literally nothing difference between
the spirit with me is the spirit in you.
It's the same one. It's all the same thing. Mm-hmm. And I truly, genuinely believe in my next life, I'm going to find all the people I love. I know this for a fact.
For sure.
When you die, and if I'm here, I'm going to be like, that's okay. I'm going to find him in the next one.
I'll see you again.
I'll see you again. The moment I saw you in high school, I was like, yeah,
that's
we're already,
the one.
I don't know why, but the spirit connected us. We already know each other. So I generally believe wherever you are, I'll always be connected with you because it's just some sort of level of spirit has connected us to the point where we can't separate.
As we have connected probably in dozens of lifetimes.
That's what exactly. So, and it's like, I come to Texas, I meet Ernesto, I meet Jacob, I meet these strangers, and I'm connecting with them. They're fun, they're great, but they don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we have
that
a soul
level
bond
of like, I don't even need to answer, but you get what I'm saying.
I already know what you're thinking.
Exactly.
But we're in each other's heads.
And at the same time, it's like, you say, I'm like, yeah, that's what I wanted to say, but I didn't know how to put it out in the words. And it's like, yeah,
there was so many times over the weekend where like I had a thought and I was about to say it, and then you said the exact same thing I was about to say. I was like, what did I say that? So it's comforting, man. And we'll wrap up this podcast so we can get you off to your flight. But
I really don't want to go home, but I have to.
Thank you for coming and visiting my home. Thank you for being a guest in our house. Thank you for experiencing Texas.
Oh,
and
I want to experience it again. Absolutely.
Oh, we hope to see you back.
Live here. Ooh.
Dude, come through.
Come through.
You can sleep on our couch.
We can make podcasts.
We can make podcasts daily.
Ooh.
But I love you, Eddie. Thank you for being a guest on this, and thank you for coming to Texas. And I miss you, and I hope that you come back home soon.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you, everyone. Love you. Good night.
Take care, y'all.
Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Carpe Natem Podcast. If you loved the episode, please consider leaving us a positive rating and review on Apple Music or iTunes. It takes 30 seconds for you, but for us, it helps spread positivity to more people during these chaotic times. It helps build a community, and it makes me smile ear to ear. Speaking of community, we have a Facebook group. You can find us at facebook.com/groups/Carpe Natem. Just answer the 3 questions to get access to some extra motivation and inspiration for your timeline. If you would like to support the podcast, screenshot this episode, share it to your story, and tag me on Instagram at Carpe Natem 114. That's going to be my handle across all platforms, including TikTok, so please give me a follow if you'd like some more positivity in your life. If you haven't already, please rate us and subscribe on Spotify or anywhere you enjoy your podcasts. And lastly, you can find all episodes, links to resources, and opportunities for coaching and mentoring from me at carpenatem114.com. I cannot thank you enough for spending part of your day with me. You are all rock stars taking the necessary steps to be your best self, willing to do whatever it takes, and ready to grab life by the butt cheeks. Until next time, this is your host, Nate De La Hoya-Reynoso, signing off.